Loaded show here at NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. We have a lot to discuss here. Just 15 days away from the NBA trade deadline, we will have a Jimmy Butler update. Are LeBron James and Anthony Davis upset with the Lakers front office? And we'll round out the show with the latest on Cam Johnson, as it feels like there are two suitors for the Brooklyn Nets forward. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because I did say we are 15 days away from the NBA trade deadline. We will be live on deadline day, February 6, 2025, whether it's me, whether it's some of our other hosts here at Chat Sports. We'll have you covered with a full live show on deadline day, so make sure you are subscribed. All right, let's start off with the first topic on the episode, and that is going to be Jimmy Butler, because it feels like a trade surrounding Butler and the Phoenix Suns could be happening at any moment. It might even be, say, imminent. It could happen, folks, because after Shams Charania reported the actual trade that happened between the Suns and Jazz on Tuesday evening, the whole NBA world is speculating that a trade is likely to happen sooner rather than later. When the Suns traded their lone first-round pick that is tradable, an unprotected 2031 pick, to Utah to get 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks, least favorable between the Minnesota Timberwolves and, I believe, the Cleveland Cavaliers. It kind of sparked the idea that they are going to use those 3 first-round picks to make a trade in the Butler deal, because having only one tradable first-round pick wasn't enough. But now that they have 3, it feels like we have some motion on a trade. And it is so much momentum, in my opinion, that I think a trade for Jimmy Butler may actually happen this week. I have been kind of spewing from the rooftops here at Chat Sports, on Twitter, on other channels, that I would expect a deal to be made before the end of the week on Sunday. And when we had reports from Sam Amick on The Athletic saying that in the wake of a Suns deal with the Jazz on Tuesday night, in which Phoenix tripled its lot of available first-round picks, a source close to Jimmy Butler said there is rising optimism that he's closer to reaching his desired destination, Phoenix, as a result. And I do agree, but I do want to put a little brakes on this, because it does still all depend on Bradley Beal. Phoenix is obviously looking to ship out Bradley Beal, bring in Jimmy Butler to pair up with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But Bradley Beal's got that nasty little no-trade clause, and there's only a handful of teams that he would be willing to waive that no-trade clause for. Miami's one of them, but they don't want Bradley Beal. And teams that I'm monitoring on the situation are the Milwaukee Bucks and Chicago Bulls. And it's being kind of rumored out there that the Bucks are interested in acquiring Bradley Beal. It's also rumored that Beal would be fine waiving his NTC to join Dame and Giannis in Milwaukee. And it really does feel like if a trade happens, which I think it will, because Phoenix doesn't trade one of the most valuable picks in the next decade for 3 middle-tiered first-round picks unless they think a trade is actually going down, it will be between Miami, Phoenix, Milwaukee, and a 4th team to help facilitate contracts and cap situation. And I'm leaning towards that being either the Toronto Raptors or Detroit Pistons, who have been heavily rumored to want a piece of this deal to acquire young potential talent, second-round picks, or expiring contracts, because they can take them on for the remainder of the season. I would expect Bruce Brown to be a name that's floated out there. The Detroit Pistons may be a suitor for Pat Connaughton to help facilitate Milwaukee getting underneath the second apron so they can trade out Middleton and Bobby Portis. There's a lot of moving parts here, but it does feel like we have our trio of teams in Milwaukee, Miami, and Phoenix. It's all about who's going to be that 4th team to help iron out all of the details. Predict it for me. Is it going to happen sooner or later? I think it's going to happen this week, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Will a Jimmy Butler trade happen this week before it ends on Sunday? Type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, let's transition to our second topic, which is around the Los Angeles Lakers. Are LeBron James and Anthony Davis upset/frustrated with the front office? Well, Shams Charania dropped the whole article on the latest he's hearing 2 weeks before the deadline earlier today, and he reported that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are growing concerned about the Lakers' ability to make significant roster upgrades with only 2 tradable first-round picks. And I'll tell you what, that's the last thing you want. You do not want your 2 star players, LeBron and AD, questioning what will happen with the front office. This just simply could be the worst possible scenario if you're a Lakers fan, especially with LeBron past his age 40 now and near the end of his career. Now, Anthony Davis, does he have a lot of power to change things? Probably not, but LeBron James certainly does. And it's the last thing you want if your two-star players are getting concerned or upset with the front office. And we'll discuss more on Los Angeles coming up here in just a second. But we are sponsored by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in North America. All you do is pick more or less on 2 or more player stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. You can play basketball, you can play football, hockey, combine them. It doesn't matter. And in football, the big game is almost here. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the game. Prize Picks is also giving away a free pick for the big game where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw 1 yard. If you're correct on at least one more player stat projection, you can win real cash, but there are a couple bigger games before we get to the big game in professional football, and they're actually giving away a free entry for that one as well because Jaden Daniels' passing yards have been moved down to just half a yard. So take the more than there and pair it up with some other player stat projections for a chance to win some real cash. I've got it paired up with Terry McLaurin and A.J. Brown, each to reach pay dirt, took the more than on their touchdowns. So join me and the millions of others playing Prize Picks by downloading the app. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's get back to the Los Angeles Lakers now because I will be kind of speculative on this. It sounds like the Lakers are not really going to be making any big moves at the deadline. Is that why they're upset? Like, what move out there even is there to make? And I'll talk about that here in just a second. But when you combine the Shams report with the Jovan Buha report from The Athletic, you kind of start to see the full picture being painted here. Because Buha said that the sense around the league when talking to rival scouts and front office personnel is that standing pat or making a half-measure trade, like 1 or 2 second-round picks, is more likely than the Lakers going all in and trading both of their future first-round picks that can be moved. That's dependent, of course, on the available players, asking prices, and the team's performance through the deadline. And I want to get back to that question I was kind of proposing about, well, if LeBron and Anthony Davis want a big move and splash the roster, who would they even target? They're not really going to be in the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, and Jimmy only wants to go to Phoenix anyway. Are they going to try to trade for Brandon Ingram? Trade multiple first-rounders there? Zach LaVine, who's got 3 years, $40+ million on his deal each of the next 3 seasons with a player option? Like, to me, I understand the Lakers players potentially wanting another move to be made, but there just really isn't one out there that you can kind of foresee helping this Lakers team ultimately get closer to a championship. They already made a pretty big-sized move, trading D'Angelo Russell and draft capital to the Brooklyn Nets to get Dorian Finney-Smith. And I think that trade will help pay dividends as we go through the course of the season here. And maybe they do target Alonzo Ball to help shore up the backcourt, who's on an expiring. A Jonas Valanciunas to help shore up that front court behind Anthony Davis. Those moves would be great. But if LeBron and AD want them to use those first-round picks at the deadline to acquire players, I just don't know who they could be thinking about because there's no really players that fit this roster that would require you to send multiple first-round picks. Interesting situation. Unless they're thinking Cam Johnson. But maybe they are, and maybe that's what you're trying to tell me in the comments. Well, tell Rob Pelinka who the top Lakers trade target should be before the February 6th NBA trade deadline. Drop some players down in the comment section. All right, let's get over to our final part of the show, and that is on Cam Johnson. What is the latest surrounding the Brooklyn Nets forward who is firmly on the trade market, likely could be the second best player traded before the deadline behind Jimmy Butler, unless a Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine ultimately gets dealt. And when you think about the 2 spots that Johnson could be landing, the 2 most talked about teams are the Sacramento Kings and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'll talk about each fit here because I like both of them. The Kings could use more defense on the wing. I'd be curious to see what they would offer the Brooklyn Nets. It's kind of being rumored out there that they are willing to send a first-round pick, but Brooklyn wants it to be unprotected. Sacramento wants it to be protected in some capacity, and that's the holdup there. And the Thunder, we know how many first-round picks they can trade, plus they've got the first-round pick from this past draft that I'm a big fan of in Nikola Topic, who is yet to play this year due to an ACL injury. And Johnson's going to be a high commodity when we're getting closer and closer to the deadline. He's having a career season in Brooklyn, averaging nearly 20 points per game. He's one of those classic 3-and-D wings and forwards that just helps you win basketball games. Not going to be a number 1 or 2 option by any stretch of the imagination, but a great third, a great fourth guy for your roster potentially. And when you're shooting 42% from 3 on the volume that he is, about 8 attempts a game, that is going to be very welcomed on any roster in the NBA. And when you really deep dive into each fit, I like both. I think I prefer Oklahoma City's because to me, they have a lot of guys, right? They have Hartenstein, they have Chet Holmgren, who have both been in and out of the lineup all year long. You have Jalen Williams. You have Alex Caruso. Why not add another elite wing that can help you get further? I love Lou Dort. I do. I love him. But why wouldn't you try to upgrade that position? You have a gazillion first-round picks. Like a gazillion. You're not going to be able to use all of those first-round picks. So why not trade Lou Dort for salary purposes and one of your first-round picks for Cam Johnson? You can upgrade in a position of need at the 2 or 3, a better shooter than Lou Dort, equally as good defensively with more versatility on that end. I like the Thunder's fit, and if they need more in Brooklyn for a trade, you can attach Nikola Topic potentially because you still got Cason Wallace as that sixth-man guard off the bench. And in Sacramento, you trade Kevin Huerter and draft capital for Cam Johnson. That helps you quite a bit because their defense is spotty. And if you acquire Johnson, you can have a lineup of De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Cam Johnson, a lot of versatility size-wise, a lot of spacing, a lot of shooting. I think that 5-man lineup could be very intriguing in Sacramento to help shore up their defense side of the ball, which is their biggest need. And if you're looking at it from a Brooklyn side of view and you speculate on the 2 offers that I kind of just said, I would probably lean towards trying to do the OKC deal if you're getting Nikola Topic, who I believe could be a really good ball handler and lead guard in the NBA when he heals from injury. He was one of my top prospects in this past draft. Like, the Nets aren't going anywhere. They're not going to be competing for a title anytime soon. They should prioritize trading Cam Johnson for draft capital as well as a young asset to help build in the future. There's no reason to hold on to him. Cash in on your best trade asset right now, who I would argue will never have higher value in the NBA than he has right now. Career year in a season that anybody could win it, maybe everyone. I still think it's going to be either one of Boston or OKC, but neither here nor there. And capitalize on that momentum of Cam Johnson playing well and get him traded out of Brooklyn at his highest value. I think that's a no-brainer move from the Brooklyn Nets. All right, that will do it for today's episode of NBA Now. 2 weeks until the deadline, practically. Make sure you subscribe because we'll have you covered on the latest news and rumors in the NBA. And when we get to that February 6th trade deadline day, we will be live on Chat Sports. So subscribe now and don't miss a thing.